Neoclassicism was the most profound artistic movement during the Enlightenment and Age of Reason, until Romanticism evolved, which challenged the Neoclassicism beliefs of structure and balance. The Romantics were interested in the darks and the irrational side of human nature. William Wordsworth broke away from Neoclassicism and saw Romanticism as a literary style but also as a distinct philosophical approach to art and creation. William was friends with Samuel Coleridge, and together they wrote lyrical ballads as a guideline for aspiring romantics. William Wordsworth wrote Tintern Abbey, one of his most known poems. In the poem, the speaker visits a rural location near Abbey after being gone for many years. His return helps him through hard times by nature's beauty. An example of the beauty in the poem was when the speaker was at peace of being in a familiar area. William Blake was a poet in the Romantics that was famous for short poems that were usually children's poems. William Blake is most known for two poems that work together, called The Tiger and the other poem that was called The Lamb. He used these two poems to show his philosophy of experience and innocence. In the poem, The Tiger, the perspective of creation is through experience. The tiger focuses on the difficulties of creation throughout the poem. In The Lamb, the perspective of creation is through innocence. The lamb questions the creator of the tiger in the poem. Blake leaves the poem open about who the creator is. Thomas Gray wrote Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, which was considered his masterpiece. In the poem, he used the traditional ABAB rhyme scheme, meaning for every 4 lines, the first and third lines will rhyme with each other, and the second and fourth lines will rhyme with each other as well. In the poem, he uses the themes of loss, death, and the passage of time. Samuel Taylor Coleridge's lasting success was from the publication of lyrical ballads. Samuel's work shows one of the most important aspects of Romanticism, which was originality. Coleridge found inspiration in the supernatural and the power of imagination. Coleridge wrote The Rime of the Ancient Matter, which is a frame story. A frame story is where one story is told within another. In the poem, an encounter happens between a mariner and the wedding guest. The frame is formed when the mariner tells his sin to the wedding guest. Gothic literature. Some things that contribute to Gothic literature are technological advances, poor working conditions which led to getting the word out about it, enlightenment in real life, the Industrial Revolution, Reign of Terror, and violence. Percy Shelley was exposed to radical views by Thomas Paine and William Goodwin. He fell in love with Goodwin's wife Mary, the writer of Frankenstein. He was good friends with Lord Byron. He believed in the revolutionary ideas. Wrote poems and essays on political dissent, atheism, and vegetarianism. Most famous piece of work is Ozymandias. Ozymandias is a frame story to commemorate a powerful Egyptian pharaoh. The story is told by a traveler who finds a statue of Ozymandias crumbled in the desert. The traveler relays it to the poet, who relays it to the readers. The poem has 3 major themes: arrogance, forgetting, and the finalization of nature. John Keats was a lyrical poet. He was friends with Shelley. He suffered from tuberculosis and died at the age of 25. He gained more popularity for his work after he passed away. He communicated sadness and sense of loss through his works. John Keats wrote Ode on a Grecian Urn, which was a poem with direct address to a person, fearful reverence for a subject, heightened or lofty language, and a sense of longing or a sense of loss. Lord Byron was inspired by the French Revolution. He lived a life of intrigue and adventure. His writing style is considered controversial. He thought Wordsworth and Coleridge betrayed the ideals of Romanticism. He is most known for writing She Walks in Beauty. She Walks in Beauty, written by Lord Byron, is about Lord Byron's cousin, Lady Wilmot Horton. Byron uses the poem to contrast day and night by using her physical features. Mary Shelley was married to Percy Shelley, another famous writer. She was influenced by her mother's advocacy for women's rights. She was also influenced by other writers, Coleridge, Wordsworth, Samuel, and Shelley. Her most famous story was Frankenstein. Mary Shelley visited Geneva with her family and friends Byron and Polidori. They had a competition to write ghost stories where she came up with Frankenstein. The themes of Frankenstein are the need for love and companionship, responsibility, nature versus debate, and importance of language. Jane Austen was born in an era where women could acquire education but would have to be submissive. Women would have to be married or live with male in order to have financial collection that contained Jane was influenced stories by this idea. She was influenced by writers Dr. Samuel Pride and Prejudice, Samuel Richardson, and Frances Burney. Pride and Prejudice is a novel that has themes of love, class, marriage, pride, and prejudice. The novel is a love story that starts out with a man and a woman that meet at a social gathering. Initially, they do not care for each other, but as the story goes on, they end up changing their minds about each other.